Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. Thanks for joining me once again. Before I dive into today's review, I do want to mention if you enjoy the Gaming Gang and would like to support the outlet, you can do so in a few ways. First, by utilizing our affiliate links to the One Bookshelf sites, such as Drive-Thru RPG, Drive-Thru Cards, Dungeon Masters Guild, etc. And to do so, simply visit thegaminggang.com, click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. You can also make a one-time donation by way of PayPal or become a monthly member of our Patreon. You'll find links in the show notes. Also, down in those show notes, you'll find an invite link to our Discord server. Be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. So today I'll be sharing my review of Ecosystem Savanna from Genius Games. This is designed by Matt Simpson with Steve Schlepphorst and Daniel Davalos. Artwork is provided by Mesa Schumacher. And I do apologize if I've mispronounced any of those names. Ecosystem Savanna is for 2 to 6 players, ages 8 and up, plays in around 15 to 20 minutes. It is available now and carries an MSRP of $19.99. Having said all that, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Ecosystem Savanna. Before I get stuck in, I do want to point out the fine folks over at Genius Games were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this review with you. It's important you know that. So, with Ecosystem Savanna, this is a card drafting, tableau building game. It comes in this nice little box, and inside the box, you're going to find a bunch of cards, the rule book, 6 player aids, as well as a pad of scoring sheets. And something to keep in mind when you are scoring at the end of the game, you are going to score in the exact order of this scoring sheet. Before I get into how to play Ecosystem Savanna, let me show you the little rule book, which I gotta say, really, really nicely put together. Had absolutely no issues at all. This was clear as day. Only thing we ever referred to the rule book after the first read through was to take a look at the different cards. That's it. So really 5-10 minutes, you're good to go. To start the game, we are actually going to get a hand of 11 cards dealt to us. So each player will have 11 cards. This is a final ecosystem. So we are creating a grid, which is 5 cards by 4 cards. So this would be the end of the game. You're going to start off with a blank tableau. So you will choose one of those 11 cards that you want to keep, and then you're going to hand off the remainder of the cards to the player on your left. And you're going to place the card that you kept. You're going to do this for 10 cards. So everybody at the end of the first round will have one leftover card that just gets discarded. Now, when you choose a card, you have to place it. And when you place the card, it must be adjacent to a card that's already in your ecosystem. So it has to go above or below or to the left or to the right of a card that's already in play. So at the end of the first round, we are going to have 10 cards laid out, and then we are going to get another 11 cards. And from those 11, you are going to choose a card from that hand that you want to keep. We are going to go through the same process for another 10 cards. This time, we're going to reverse the direction that we're handing cards off. And at the end of those 20 cards being placed, we will have our ecosystem. Now, the ecosystem itself has certain synergies that we want to create. So all of the scoring information is available on these player aids. And I found this to be the most fascinating aspect of this game. I thought this was a little more thinky than I was assuming it was going to be. And I got to say, I love the fact that you have to take a moment to kind of try to see what are you going to be able to create as far as your ecosystem and that you have cards adjacent to cards that they need to be adjacent to in order to score or be close enough to other cards in order for that card to be able to score points. As an example, we've got elephants. Well, elephants are going to be worth 5 points. But if you have any other animals adjacent to them, once again, above or below or to the left or to the right, which are not elephants, you'll lose 2 points. So they're only worth 3. So as an example here, that's 5. This is also another 5 because there are no other animals adjacent to them except for another elephant. Just like this elephant here, that would also be worth 5 points because there are no other animals adjacent to it. We have giraffes. Giraffes will not score unless they are adjacent to a tree. We've got lions. Lions won't score unless they're adjacent to a grassland. And when they do score, you're going to flip over either a gazelle or a zebra anywhere on your tableau, essentially meaning that the lion ate that animal. Now, keep in mind, there is a circle of life that's taking place in ecosystem Savanna that might bother some younger players out there. Just want to point that out. But once again, I thought that's kind of a cool aspect to ecosystem Savanna. Now, as far as the scoring goes, as I had mentioned, you want to score in the exact order as we go down. So cheetahs can flip over gazelle, which are diagonal to them. So as an example, it would be something like that. And the reason why you're going to score in that particular order is because once we get to hyenas and vultures, they live off of carrion. So you're going to score them based on flipped cards. Really, really nicely done. And I love the fact that if you are able to create really nice synergies here, you're going to score tons and tons of points. I have to say, my nephew Cameron took to this game like a duck to water. He was just blowing us away with his scoring. I will also point out that with fewer players, it's a little bit easier to build your ecosystem, especially if you're playing with 2 players, because you're going to see those same hands of cards going back and forth. So you can kind of keep your fingers crossed that the other player or maybe other 2 players aren't going to choose a card that you want. With 6 players, it can be pretty tricky. I will say with 6 players, I did find that we did have lower point totals at the end of the game, but still we had an absolute blast. All right, so that is how you play Ecosystem Savanna. There is also the original Ecosystem as well as Ecosystem Coral Reef, which are available, and they play exactly like Ecosystem Savanna. Now let's swing out over to the other camera so I can share some final thoughts as well as my review score. As I already pointed out, we've had an absolute blast with Ecosystem Savanna. Super easy to learn, very quick playing. Even with 6 players, we never went more than maybe 25 minutes. So the 15 to 20 minute time frame that's on the box is spot on. Now, as far as playing the game itself, it is a little bit easier with just a couple of players or 3 players. If you're going with 5 or 6, be prepared to have your Savannas not be as in sync as they would be with fewer players. But gotta say, everybody who has played this with me has absolutely loved this. We even had somebody who just was not scoring well at the end of the games because they just couldn't plan ahead. They weren't picturing how their tableau should look. They loved Ecosystem Savanna too. And of course, keep in mind, there's Savanna, there's the original ecosystem, there is also Coral Reef. I have to say, this is now going to sit in my SUV because this is another game that I know people are going to ask, hey, Jeff, where is that Africa game, with the cards? So it's going to join games like Role Player and some of the tiny epic line of games in my car. And I love it. I love the fact that everybody I've played this with just enjoyed the hell out of Ecosystem Savanna. So that means on a score of 0 to 10, I give Ecosystem Savanna the rarefied 10 out of 10. It is that fun, super easy to learn, very quick playing, and it's got some depth that I did not necessarily see coming right out of the box. All right, that is it for this time out. If you liked the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already, and if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it's supposed to let you know when I share not only videos such as this review, but also my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, which airs right here on YouTube on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thank you very much for watching. And until I see you next time, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.